The million dollar myth: why education can't fix the Black women's wage gap. Good evening, everyone. I want to start by expressing my profound gratitude for your presence here today. Recently, I had the extraordinary privilege of sitting down with Tamika Dent, a visionary researcher, fearless advocate, and one of the most transformative voices in economic justice today. Tamika's groundbreaking work has fundamentally reshaped how we understand workplace equity for Black women in America. Her research doesn't just illuminate problems, it provides a roadmap for dismantling systems of economic oppression that have persisted for generations. What makes Tamika truly remarkable is her ability to translate complex data into powerful narratives that catalyze real change. In boardrooms, in policy circles, and in the lives of countless Black women professionals. We've all heard the comforting American narrative: education is the great equalizer. Study hard, earn those degrees, climb the corporate ladder, and prosperity will inevitably follow. It's a story we tell ourselves about meritocracy and opportunity, a promise that with enough individual effort, anyone can succeed. But what if this promise is fundamentally broken for some Americans? What if the data showed that even with the highest levels of education and professional achievement, Black women continue to face a persistent and significant wage gap compared to their white male counterparts? This isn't speculation, this is reality. Black women with advanced degrees, women who've done everything right by society standards, still earn only 59 to 64 cents for every dollar earned by white men in similar roles. Let that sink in. The same degree, the same experience, the same qualifications, yet consistently less compensation, less recognition, and less opportunity. This reality shatters one of our most cherished beliefs about American society: that merit and education inevitably lead to fair treatment and equal opportunity. The data tells a different story, one that demands we look beyond individual effort to understand the systemic nature of these disparities. During my conversation with Tamika, three critical insights emerged that transform how we must approach economic justice for Black women professionals. First, education alone cannot close the pay gap. Despite earning advanced degrees and holding leadership positions, Black women remain significantly underpaid compared to their peers. The Institute for Women's Policy Research released a 2025 analysis showing that over a 40-year career, a full time working Black woman stands to lose more than $1 million dollars compared to white men due solely to wage disparities. $1 million. Dollars. This isn't just a statistic, it represents homes not purchased, businesses not launched, generational wealth not built, retirement security diminished, educational opportunities for children curtailed, and financial freedom forever out of reach. This analysis sparked national awareness about the long term financial impacts of wage inequality and fueled legislative discussions on equal pay. But awareness alone isn't enough. This brings me to Tamika's second key insight: systemic inequities require systemic solutions. Achieving economic equity demands more than individual effort. It requires comprehensive policy changes, including enforcing pay equity laws, expanding access to higher paying jobs, and investing in support systems like affordable childcare. The third insight Tamika emphasized is that collective advocacy drives progress. Real change happens when Black professionals unite as advocates, not just for themselves, but for future generations, by demanding fair representation in decision making spaces and supporting organizations dedicated to workplace justice. As Tamika eloquently put it, The path to equity isn't paved with individual achievement alone, but with collective action that transforms systems. Let me share some compelling evidence that brings these points to life. At the Essence Festival's Work, Wealth, and Workforce Forum in July 2025, SEIU President April Verrett delivered a powerful warning. Automation threatens sectors where 43% of Black workers are concentrated: healthcare, retail, and public administration. Meanwhile, Black professionals remain severely underrepresented in STEM fields at less than 9%, precisely where future growth and opportunity lie. This isn't coincidence or bad luck. It's the predictable result of historical patterns where innovation and economic transformation have repeatedly excluded marginalized groups. But what's remarkable about this situation is how Black women labor leaders responded, not with resignation, but with strategic vision. They built coalitions across industries. They demanded investment in upskilling programs tailored toward emerging technologies. They created partnerships between unions and tech companies focused on inclusive workforce development. Their leadership didn't just address immediate challenges, it created new pathways for entire communities. When Black women organize, they don't just solve problems for themselves, they transform systems for everyone. But the challenges facing Black women professionals extend beyond the workplace. The spring 2025 poll revealed that 88% of Black women voters feel profoundly dissatisfied with America's direction, a dramatic increase since previous years, with nearly all reporting worsening economic conditions post pandemic. This poll exposed how rising costs of living are drastically outpacing wages, creating increasing pessimism even among those previously optimistic during COVID recovery periods. Yet, rather than surrender to despair, these women channeled their frustration into civic engagement through voting blocks, naming bold policy priorities centered on care economy reforms. Their collective voice gave urgency to advocacy campaigns aimed at sustainable solutions benefiting families. They drove media attention toward intersectional challenges faced specifically by professional class Black women. And they set agenda items now influencing policymaking around economic security measures at every level of government. What these examples reveal is something profound about the nature of economic justice for Black women professionals. The challenges they face aren't just about individual discrimination or bias, though those certainly exist. They're about systems and structures that were never designed with their success in mind. As Tamika emphasized, when we talk about economic justice for Black women professionals, we're not asking for special treatment. We're demanding that the systems that govern our economy finally recognize our full humanity, our contributions, and our right to thrive. This perspective shifts our understanding of what's at stake. It's not just about closing a wage gap, though that's certainly important. It's about reimagining an economy that values all contributors equitably. It's about creating workplaces where Black women can bring their full selves without penalty. And it's about ensuring that the next generation doesn't have to fight the same battles. The movement happening among Black women professionals today isn't about abandoning ambition or excellence. It's about redefining success on their own terms, terms that include not just professional achievement, but also well being, community impact, and sustainable growth. As one participant in Tamika's research put it, I spent decades proving myself in rooms where I was the only one who looked like me. I excelled, I overperformed, I never complained. And still, I was paid less, promoted less often, and given less grace than my colleagues. I'm done proving my worth. Now I'm focused on building spaces where our worth is assumed from day one. This sentiment reflects a profound shift, a shift from constantly grinding to finally prioritizing wholeness alongside achievement. It's not about giving up on excellence, it's about demanding that excellence be fairly recognized and rewarded. The economic implications of this shift are significant. When Black women professionals advocate for fair compensation, they're not just improving their own financial situations, they're establishing new standards that benefit all workers. When they create their own businesses and professional networks, they're not just building individual wealth, they're creating new models for inclusive economic growth. But achieving true economic justice requires action at multiple levels. Individual advocacy matters, but so does collective organizing. Personal financial literacy matters, but so does systemic policy change. Professional excellence matters, but so does structural transformation. So, where do we go from here? What can each of us do to address this $1 million gap? If you're a business leader, examine your compensation practices with an intersectional lens. Are Black women being paid equitably in your organization? Are they being promoted at the same rates? If not, what specific actions will you take to address these disparities? If you're a policymaker, push for robust enforcement of existing pay equity laws and advocate for new legislation that addresses the unique challenges facing Black women professionals. If you're an educator, ensure that your curriculum includes the stories and contributions of Black women in your field. Create pathways that actively support Black women students in their professional journeys. And if you're simply someone who cares about justice, use your voice and your vote to support policies that advance economic equity. Challenge narratives that place the burden of closing the gap solely on individual effort. The $1 million gap facing Black women professionals isn't just their problem to solve. It's a fundamental challenge to our collective understanding of fairness, opportunity, and justice. It demands that we question our most cherished myths about meritocracy and education as the great equalizer. I want to leave you with this thought. What if we stopped asking Black women to work harder to overcome systemic barriers and instead work collectively to dismantle those barriers? What if we recognize that their economic justice is inextricably linked to all of our economic futures? The choice before us is clear. We can continue to perpetuate systems that extract $1 million from each Black woman's lifetime earnings, or we can build new systems that truly value their contributions, their leadership, and their humanity. The time for platitudes and empty promises is over. The time for transformative action is now. Will you join us in this fight for true economic justice, not just with your words, but with your actions, your influence, and your commitment to creating a world where no one's worth is diminished by the color of their skin or the gender they embody? The future of our economy and our shared humanity depends on how we answer this call. Thank you.